everyone, welcome back and here to the new tutorial on the Shaman, Wierdnob Shaman. This character is very nicely posed, unusual for an orc, you know, it's small and I think we'll have a lot of fun doing this, so let's jump right in. So we want to undercoat this with black and then we want to give it a grey undercoat from the top down so we can see just the shadows, leaving the shadow areas black. It's a little technique I like to do so that when the base coat of the skin comes on, you can leave the dark areas how they are and just put the green on top of the grey areas. Now we're going to use a base coat of a dark green. Colors are up on the screen here so you can see which ones I'm using. And then what we'll do is we'll follow it up with a lighter highlight after we've done the base coat, and then we'll follow it up. We'll mix that previous green to a bit of white so we can add some extreme highlights, and then we just keep building the highlights and leaving the dark areas how they are. Just pressing the airbrush enough that there's air coming out and slight paint coming out when you push it back on your dual action airbrush. And now we'll add the green wash after we've given it a coat of gloss varnish, because this allows the wash to just go into the areas more easily and the wash doesn't remain on the raised areas. It's a really good technique so you don't get that washy effect after the paint's dry. Once the wash has dried, then we'll just get the light green mix and we'll just go over the edges of the model with highlights, and we'll just use paints that we'll do the same thing we did with the base coat. We'll use a light green and then mix it with white and start painting extreme highlights where the areas are most raised or right near the edges, like the knuckles and the fingers and the nose and top part of the lips and the edges around the whole muscle of the model. The skull for the staff, shaman staff, is base coated with Zandri dust. Then we'll gloss wash it, gloss varnish it, let that dry, then add a dark tone from the army painter to wash it. After we let that dry, we dry brush the model, the skull, with a Zandri dust and then a small dry brush of white just in the extreme raised areas. And then we'll paint the ribbons on the side of the skull. We paint that black and then highlight it grey and then white until to the extreme highlights. The cloaks are painted with a red, Mephiston red, and then they are highlighted from the bottom up with a Trollslayer orange to slowly get that gradient in them. Then mix in a slight white to the orange, and you want to make this brighter than you would want to in the first place, just to get it a bit more higher, because we're going to give it a wash of dark tone after we gloss varnish it. The smoke on the staff is done by just masking off the blue tack area so that the staff doesn't get any paint on it. Then the bottom we'll just spray it with red, Mephiston red. Then we'll move up with dark grey, and then from there we'll add a lighter grey at the top. Then we'll gloss varnish this, and then we will add a dark tone wash to the smoke so it can get into all the crevices and add that detail. And then after that's all dry, we just dry brush the smoke with a light grey just to bring out a bit more of the detail in the smoke. The front part of the skirt or the cloth has got a base coat of brown. Then we follow it up with a mix of brown and white highlight from the bottom up. And then we'll just paint the metal bits with lead belcher just to give that metallic effect. The horns on the head are the same process, the bones. Just a base coat of Zandri dust, and then we gloss varnish that. You could either paint the gloss varnish on or you could airbrush it, and just let that dry, give it about half an hour to an hour, and then we add the dark tone wash, let that dry, and then dry brush it with Zandri dust, and then dry brush it with white on the extreme highlights near the edges. And then we paint the black areas of the horns with the rope start, and then we highlight it with dark grey and just mix that grey with white for the extreme highlights. The yellow areas were undercoated white and then given a wash of Casa Dora yellow. The base at the end, well, I had a pin on the model of the foot, and I just used that to guide where I put paint on it to give me a mark, and then I use that to drill a hole so I know, and then I paint around the foot so I know not to put sand around there, and then I just put some PVA over when I'm basing. Then I put the sand over the PVA, press it down a bit, let it adhese glue on as much as I can, and I pick the base up and just take the excess off, and then I undercoat it black with Vallejo black, let that dry. Then I give it a chaos black, and then I dry brush it grey using different tones of grey from dark to light, and then just pin the model on and paint the outside of the base black just to neaten up the area. Okay, I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. It's just a simple, quick way to get this model out there on the tabletop, so you can play quickly with the airbrush method of gloss and wash technique as well. And just wanted to show you that there's easy ways of doing this as well, simple ways. You can use a green spray can as well for the base coat, and then you can just add highlights with the brush as well, dry brush. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. If you do, if you want my free ebook, you can sign up. Link will be in the description, and thank you for your support, and I will be putting out more tutorials. So in the meantime, stay safe, and I'll see you in the next tutorial. And if you do like this, please give it a like. It just helps my channel, and please share. That would be much appreciated. So thanks again, and I'll see you in the next tutorial.